G'day. So today we're going to talk about the after hours block. So I've fired up a new version or new controller, FG controller in the apps tool. We'll install sys10 kit. We'll install the latest FG controller, FG kit. So I've fast forwarded a bit so that you have to sit through the loading screen. We can see we've got our latest aRothar FG kit and the sys 10.0.45, 1.0.45.10 kit. So first thing to do, drop in our license service. Because we're running in the apps tool, the license service automatically licenses the kit. Go back to our main page, drop in our after hours timer. So the after hours timer has 3 timing modes: time terminate, time or input terminate, and time and reset timer. The time terminate, which it is by default, this is where the trigger starts the timer and the output is turned on. The output remains on until the timer expires or the schedule input is true. Once expired, the trigger can restart the time. This option does not provide the facility to stop the timer once it's started. The trigger is ignored if fired any time during the timing sequence. The second one, which is time or input terminate, is where the trigger can start or stop the timer. Once started, the timer will begin to count down. When time expires, the output will be switched off. If the trigger is fired while the timer is running, the timer is cancelled and the output is turned off. This gives the user the option to terminate after hours if they need to leave early. The third one is a time and reset timer. This option starts the timer and turns the output on when the trigger is received. If another trigger is received before the timer expires, the timer will reset to the initial duration, thus extending the on cycle without the system stopping. So an example of this is someone comes in after hours, pushes their button, starts their system. The system runs for 15 minutes out of its 2 hours. Whilst going for coffee, they press the after hours timer again. This resets the timer for 2 hours. The tenant works for the full duration of the 2 hours and goes home. They'll be billed for 2 hours and 15 minutes. So it just resets the timer back to the duration of the time. The timer does not work when the schedule is on, so they can press the button as much as they like. Put a simulated schedule point in. Name it so I don't get confused. Try and spell it correctly so I don't get confused. Link it to the schedule. We'll also drop in a one-shot timer so that we can initiate it simulating a push button. So if the schedule is off, we're in time or input terminate. We fire our one shot. So we can see our system is counting down. Our time remaining now 119.2 minutes. If we turn our schedule on, or if the schedule comes on, the time remaining goes to 0 and the output goes to false, remembering that this is an after hours block only. So the output is only on when the system is in after hours. So today's total has incremented in the background. These only have a 1 decimal place resolution, but we are calculating seconds in the background. So it is still on, still has accumulated hours. So if we turn the schedule off and fire our one shot again, simulating an after hours request, the time resets and the system starts counting down. So we are in time or input terminate. The block will ignore any input request for 15 seconds after the initial initiation of after hours. So until 15 seconds has passed, it won't take any inputs. This is to stop false and unreliable states when the users press the after hours button a number of times. It only fires on the first one. they're unlikely to press it more than several times in 15 seconds. So if they wanted to terminate after 15 seconds, they press the button again. That terminates the time, updates all the timers, and the system has stopped. If we try the time terminate, turn our schedule to true, fire our after hours timer, nothing happens because the schedule is on. So out of hours, turn the schedule off, fire our after hours timer. Our after hours timer sets the timer for 120 minutes, and we start our countdown duration. So we'll continue to count down. We fire our one shot again, nothing happens. The block has to run its full 2 hours before it will stop, or until the schedule comes on. If we set our timer for reset time, then when we press the after hours button, it will reset the remaining time back to 120 minutes and then start counting down again. If you had a light switch or some kind of toggle switch rather than a momentary switch initiating the system, just turn our schedule on to cancel the timer. Turn it on, you silly duffer. This is our initiate. If this is a toggle switch instead of a momentary push button, when this comes on, the system still starts, the timer will still run to expiry, and even though the switch is on, the output will expire. So if we cancel our timer, see the output goes to false. If we set our timer to 0.25 minutes, which is 15 seconds, we need to turn this off and turn this on again. For the timer to start, we can see our remaining time is 0.25 minutes, it's 15 seconds, and after the 15 seconds, even though our initiate is still true, the output will go to false. This way you can utilize existing hardware for improved control. Our output's gone to false, and after all of our testing so far, we've used 0.1 hours of after hours. So you can see that it is accumulating seconds in the background. So the only way to get this to reset is to turn it off. So turn the switch off and then turn it on again. That will reset the timer. In the same way, if this was a time terminate or reset time, it's only on the true value that it changes, that the block executes. You have to make sure the user is trained, or you need to replace that on-off switch with a momentary switch, a push button or something like that. So the beauty of this block is all the timing is done internally. Hours today at 11:59 p.m. We do our end of day calculation. So the hours today are shuffled to the hours yesterday. Yesterday is added to month to date, and if it's the end of the month to date is added to last month's hours. All of the timing, all the calculations is done in one block. Saves you time and effort. All of these can be accessed via a supervisor or via the HTML graphics. We also have, under the actions, we have a fire action, which simulates an initiate. So if you are using the graphics on the FG controller or FS controller for after hours, there's no need to add an additional block. You can fire it directly from the block. You can also set a duration. You can also zero all of the timers and cancel the timer, whatever functionality you'd like to give the user. A fairly complete block. It does run in concert with our UCM. This is our unitary control module. There'll be some videos coming up on this one. So our schedule would go into our schedule, if I can find it, enable, and the after hours goes into the after hours, and the UCM will behave in a certain way. So again, we'll go through that on another video. But that's how the after hours block works. Thank you.